I'm Amy and this is Sport and Icons.
Okay, so the WBC president, Mauricio Sulaiman, has landed in the United Kingdom. And of course, he's been doing the rounds with the interviews. I've seen various clips, but I watched the entirety of the one on TalkSport hosted by Spencer Oliver. Spencer, mate, you're very good at your job, okay? But you were treating him like he's your dad. You were treating him like you're walking on eggshells, like you're blessed to be in his presence. He's a nobody. I mean, ask him the questions, all the barking and all that you lot have been doing over there on TalkSport. Well, you had this guy right there on the hook and you let him off. Come on, mate, you're better than that. Anyway, one of the questions was about Tyson Fury. What's his thoughts on Tyson Fury? Can't get a fight and whatever else. Mauricio Sulaiman is saying how Tyson Fury is a victim of being the greatest of this era. And money is ruining things and whatever else. Like Mauricio Sulaiman doesn't like some money, right? Of course not, of course not. But Tyson Fury is the greatest of this era, so therefore he is a victim. He can't get fights. People are pricing themselves out, apparently. But yet, wasn't it Tyson Fury and Frank Warren who's spinning this PR campaign, how Tyson Fury is the cash cow of the heavyweight division? So if he's the cash cow who generates all this money, then surely he shouldn't have a problem paying good money for opponents, like Anthony Joshua does. Like another great of this era, Canelo Alvarez. He don't seem to struggle to get opponents. Nor does anybody. But Tyson Fury seems to be an issue, doesn't it? Maybe this is a PR marketing strategy that's gone right the way at the wrong end, hasn't it? Because he's not really the cash cow, is he? But Tyson Fury the victim. Tyson Fury the victim. Okay, so Tyson Fury, a guy who is an ambassador for mental health, yet berates people all over social media. Berates them. That's the ambassador for mental health. This is the victim. This is a guy who can't get a fight. This is a guy who wants to fight everybody, yet fought Derek Chisora, of all people, for a third time last time out. This is a guy who held up the heavyweight division with Deontay Wilder by them two fighting each other 3 times. But he's the victim. This is a guy who goes over to Australia and says how he's going to fight Joao Pitaya, he's going to fight Dempsey McKean, wasting everybody's time yet again. 2 guys who are not ranked in the top 15 of the WBC. One of them's a cruiserweight. But he's the victim. He can't find an opponent, yet he's negotiating or saying how he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, but yet keeps on pulling out with Anthony Joshua all the time, to the point where Anthony Joshua just doesn't want to negotiate with him anymore because he can't trust him. But he's the victim, right? Tyson Fury the victim, the guy who ducked Alexander Usyk because he wasn't confident he was going to beat him, to give Alexander Usyk a 70-30 split if Usyk won. If Usyk won. Not a 70-30 split regardless of the result. No, if Alexander Usyk won. But Tyson Fury's the victim, right? Couldn't give us undisputed. Much like he couldn't with Anthony Joshua some time ago either, for undisputed. Was celebrating the fact that the arbitrator ruled in Deontay Wilder's favour. But this man is the victim, right? He can't get an opponent because people are pricing themselves out. Okay, have you offered anybody on the top 15 of WBC the fight? Who have you offered? Have you gone down that list and you can't find anybody? Because all we're hearing is names that aren't ranked in the top 15 of the WBC. Like Manuel Charr. People like that. Big baby Jarrell Miller. Joao Pitaya. None of them ranked in the top 15 of the WBC. But what have you offered a fight with Martin Bakole, who is? Have you offered a fight with Arsbek Makhmadov? Have you offered a fight with big baby Jared Anderson? Ajit Cabiel? Any of these ones? Have you offered any fight with anybody in the top 15? Well, have you? Mauricio Sulaiman is what's wrong with boxing. He lives up there in his ivory tower, unclear of what's going on the ground. He's unclear of it. He has no idea whatsoever. He lives in his own little world, his own little bubble. This is a guy who creates WBC trinket titles for exhibitions. He creates them and presents them to people like the Pope. This guy. People like Mauricio Sulaiman and organisations like the WBC. People like Gilberto Mendoza and the WBA. Oh, what's wrong with boxing? Well, there are many things wrong with boxing. Them two organisations are also what's wrong with boxing. Because they live in the ivory tower, they have no idea. And if anybody criticises them, they take it like it's people don't know what it is that they're talking about. But the fact is, you disregard the fans' opinions, is what you do. He was asked about Tyson Fury's mandatory situation. What's happening with that, considering that the last time Tyson Fury had a mandatory was Dillian White back in April of last year. So he's due one. And Mauricio Sulaiman's answer was, well, we ordered Deontay Wilder versus Andy Ruiz Jr. And if that doesn't happen, then we'll look at as to who's next on the list. You ordered that several months ago, back in November, mate. And what have you done about it? You ordered it as per your little PBC click, little tournament that you had. And Wilder and Ruiz are not fighting each other. Had this have been two other athletes from outside the PBC or something like that, you'd have probably dropped them from the rankings, removed them from the mandatory position, all that kind of stuff. But you haven't done it with Wilder and Ruiz. You have not done it. What have you done? You have sat there on your hands and done nothing, while them two have been holding up the heavyweight division. They should have already fought by now. We should already have a WBC mandatory. So therefore, Tyson Fury's got an opponent who he must face next. But you haven't done that because you're frightened to death of upsetting the PBC. This is a prime example, another example. Much like it is with the Jamal Charlo. How long has he been sat on that title and not defended it? 150 years? It's ridiculous. So what, he's got personal issues in his life. Okay, so give him interim status and keep the belt moving. Give it to someone else. But you don't want to do that. PBC fighters, you see. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And when you get like these reporters asking them about the Wilder and Ruiz situation, because he's quite openly say how we ordered them to fight each other the mandatory, is anybody out there saying, but you ordered it in November, mate? Spencer Oliver, why didn't you say, but you ordered that in November? What are you doing about it? We're now in June, mate. What are you doing about it? He's letting him off the hook. Tyson Fury's not a victim. He's the perpetuator. He's a garbage champion. He talks way too much. Wants to talk about fighting John Jones and Francis Ngannou and other people outside the top 15 of the WBC and all this kind of stuff, because Mauricio Sulaiman says how money's ruining things. People are pricing themselves out. But yet, other people who are so-called greats of this era, like Canelo and whatever else, they can get opponents. Why can't Tyson Fury? Could it be because he's not offering them enough money? Because again, you see, when you perpetuate how Tyson Fury is a cash cow and generates all this money, then what a fighter's going to do? Okay, cool. I'm going to get a nice little payday here then. Much like they do with Anthony Joshua. And guess what Anthony Joshua does? He pays them. Much like Canelo Alvarez. Guess what he does? He pays them. So why is Tyson Fury not doing it? He's got the World Heavyweight Championship in his hand. The WBC version, 1/4 of the undisputed. 1/4. Usyk's got 3/4 of it. Mauricio Sulaiman's a joke, mate. He is an absolute joke. Get out of boxing, Mauricio. Get out. You have no idea what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You just don't know. Tyson Fury is not no victim. He's the perpetuator of all this. He's a garbage champion. He's a ducker. Always has been virtually his entire career. He's a cherry picker. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. I'm out.